The greatest commodity you have that you bring to the table is you. Any industry you're in, any field you're in, the greatest thing you bring to the table is you.
Welcome to the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast, where we celebrate the messy, marvelous journey of mom entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Angela Mishuli, and I am beyond excited to introduce our guest this week, Eudania Burrell. Picture this, a New York native, a devoted mom, and a real estate maven with 25 years of recovery under her belt. Now that's what I call a powerhouse. From Homeland security to hustling in the real estate game, Eudania's story is as inspiring as it gets. But hey, this podcast isn't just about showcasing success stories. Nope. It's about embracing the chaos, finding joy in the journey, and realizing that perfectionism is way overrated. As mompreneurs, we juggle a million things at once, from diaper changes to business deals, and guess what? It's okay to be enough. So grab your coffee or wine, no judgment here. Kick back and join us as we dive into Eudania's incredible journey. From pandemic setbacks to real estate triumphs, we'll uncover the secrets to balancing motherhood, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. So get ready for some laughs, some tears, and a whole lot of inspiration. And help me welcome Eudania to the podcast. I'm joined by Eudania Burrell on the podcast today. I'm excited to hear about your story and share it. And you have a really interesting business with real estate investment. I can't wait to dive in. So welcome to the podcast.
Angela, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. I appreciate being here today.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I feel so grateful to have a platform where I can share stories of women and inspirational people like yourself. It fills my bucket. I love to have the opportunity to inspire anybody else to follow their dreams like you have and just like create this whole other thing for themselves that's really empowered you, I think. So,
yes.
Yeah. So why don't you set the stage for us? Maybe some of the background, how do you got to where you are and what you're doing now?
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing just a little bit of what you did just a moment ago about being able to fill your own cup. Because this is what fills my cup, being able to share my story and hopefully to inspire and motivate someone who's just kind of been on the sidelines of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I currently work for the Department of Homeland Security and have been with them. This year will be 21 years.
Wow.
That's amazing for me to
Congratulations. Most people can't do things for 21 days.
That's so true. Myself included. I've tried a few things. However, this has been one that has been very rewarding and impactful in my own life. I got in with the Department of Homeland shortly right after 9/11. And so it's always, my job is actually a direct result of 9/11. And so, yes. And so being a part of the agency has always filled my cup. And however, it has its share of challenges. And so I'm really going to speed up here. Back in 2020, when the world shut down, my job literally stopped and my home flooded, all within 1 week's time. And I got a little depressed, and I knew immediately depression didn't fit me. And what appeared like a threefold tsunami actually became the perfect storm. for me to step into something new. There were a lot of thoughts running through my head at that time. We're not able to, gather around with our loved ones like we once were during that time. And I started thinking, what if my job stops altogether? Forever.
Right.
My money stops. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Well, I had always been interested in real estate. And again, this perfect storm. I decided this was it. No matter what, I was going to learn how to do real estate investing. And so I jumped in fully, and I jumped in with on a platform called Connected Investors. And the creator of that is Ross Hamilton. And I would see his infomercials and get his emails, asking, what would $10,000 do for you and your family? What would $5,000 do for you and your family? And I knew what it would do and how much it would impact all of those in my life, including myself. And about 3 months in, studying the software, getting a mentor to help me to cut down on the learning curve and help me to pave my own path. 3 months in, I closed on my first 3 deals, and I haven't stopped since. And so
that's so cool. That's like, that's awesome.
An amazing journey, to say the least, and just continue to grow in this industry. And I'm sorry, I could just run off with all.
Oh, no, I mean, and I'm happy to hear all about it. I mean, I'm just like, well, number one, oftentimes we don't make a change in our lives unless we have like this pain point that happens. And sometimes that's just what we need. If we live in comfort and everything's good, we're not gonna
move or move the needle any.
Right.
Just sitting back, kind of wishing things will change, but not taking the steps necessary to make it change. And once I knew I had that power to make this change, because I had been searching for so long for something different to do. Not that I didn't love my job, but I knew it was never going to create the wealth I was wanting, the freedom that I wanted, to be able to help my parents in such a way that I'm able to do today, to get back to my children and my grandchildren in such a way that I'm able to give today. So, when you talk about your, filling your own cup, my cup runneth over. And so I am able to give from my overflow today. Whereas, once upon a time, I was giving from a depleted cup, and oftentimes feeling like I had nothing left to give, because I was giving everything that I did have. And, being mad at the ones that I was giving to, because you took all of what I had, but I was. So today, that's no longer true for me. Again, I'm giving from my overflow because I can today.
So I'm curious, as you're talking, I'm thinking, I talk to so many people, and I know people just think this, and I used to think this, or we think it subconsciously, like, that's never going to happen for me. Or I think subconsciously, we really don't think we're worthy of that, especially when you're surrounded by maybe, other people who don't have or lack or just have that mindset. So what is it that allowed you to give yourself permission to go for it? Was it just this situation, or?
I think it was a combination of the situation, of just me sitting on the sidelines of my life, wishing and wanting something more. I had always heard, you got to take action, you got to do something. In order to get something different, you have to do something different. And I was at that point that I was ready. I was ready to do something different. No one was going to change it but me. Oprah has this saying, no one's coming to save you.
No.
And,
Yeah.
no one's coming to save me or
No.
any of us,
Yeah.
and so I can get all of this great advice from other people. But if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking the action steps to
Right.
make it happen, then nothing happens.
Right.
And so I think in large part that the situation really created a space for me to say, it's okay, Dana. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if you fumble, you fall, you fail, you're going to do this. And,
Mm-hmm.
today I coach as well.
Mm-hmm.
But before then, I would keep a mirror right next to my desk, that when I was talking to people, that when I was practicing my scripts or
Mm-hmm.
whatever I needed to do, and
Mm-hmm.
I fumbled, I would laugh and I would smile at myself. I
Mm-hmm.
gave myself that permission, because oftentimes, the world is going to beat up on us enough. I'm not going to be a willing participant in that. So I'm going to laugh. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy this process, no matter how imperfect it looks to
Mm-hmm.
someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew I had to do this for me, because I had always wanted to do and be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been searching for so long, always curious about real estate. And that thing you just said,
Mm-hmm.
not feeling, having those thoughts, well, maybe I can, maybe I can't,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm not good enough,
Mm-hmm.
how come they can do it and why can't
Mm-hmm.
I? All of
Mm-hmm.
those questions were
Mm-hmm.
raging in me. But then I started turning it around, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Why not me?
Mm-hmm.
If not now, when?
Right.
If not me, then who?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm in this body. I'm here for a period of time. Why not make this happen?
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
Right. I
Nothing to lose and
know.
everything to gain. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I say we're all a mindset shift away from a completely different life. And I love too that for some reason there is this belief that you're not an entrepreneur unless you're doing it full time.
That's so untrue.
I mean, I hear these things and I try not to like laugh because, everybody has their story and why they perceive certain things. So I love that too. Like, did you think of yourself as an entrepreneur or, and some people even have a hard time calling themselves an entrepreneur. It's so interesting. So did you have this identity? It sounds like you did. You had this identity shift.
Absolutely did have that
Mm-hmm.
identity shift. And I can remember exactly when it happened. And I tell my students this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I felt successful long before I closed on my first deal. I felt like an investor long before what most people would have considered an investor or an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I was taking all of the steps necessary to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so successful doing this work in and day out. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
need anybody to confirm for me whether
Mm-hmm.
or not I was a entrepreneur or a real estate investor.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was that because I was calling myself that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to choose. I'm the chooser, no one
Mm-hmm.
else. And so,
Yeah.
you talk about mindset shift, and there has to be one for each one of us if we are to change our lives. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, that was now incorporating new networks of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, meditation is huge in my life, and
Yeah.
people can laugh about it or talk about it, but I will not leave my house until I've meditated and set the intention for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is 10% of your day, and even sometimes less than that.
Yeah.
And it makes up 90% of what happens, or how you take things in and how you react to things throughout
Mm-hmm.
the day. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's very important in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a part of my mindset training.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, going back to, if you want something different, you have to be willing to do something different. Because if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got.
Yeah. And it seems so simple, but it's just this, it's like a light switch. It's like you get it or you don't. And there's just this moment in time. I call it honestly like a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
It is like this, you just walk through this door and you can't, the lights come
You can't go
on.
back. Right. You can't
Yeah,
go
you
back.
can't
You
go back
can't
to
turn the lights
sleep.
back off. Right. You can't go back to sleep. Once you know these truths, you
Right.
cannot. You
Mhm.
have to keep pushing forward. And I'll tell you, for me, it was just me saying yes to my life, saying
Mhm.
yes to the opportunities that showed up instead of sabotaging myself all the time and
Mhm.
say, oh, I can't do that. No, I
Mhm.
won't take that opportunity. No, I'm not. No, say yes and then see what happens.
Mhm.
Yes, I have fumbled. Yes, I have fallen. I may have looked foolish to some and victorious to others. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, I know because I took a chance on me, that
Mhm.
in and of itself makes me a success.
Mhm.
That alone makes me a success.
Oh, it is. And especially as moms or
Oh,
caretakers, we always put ourselves last, not somewhere in the middle, like dead
last
last.
all the time.
Dead, dead last.
I know. And, I have 3 daughters, and I did it for the longest time of them growing up. And I
Mhm.
remember one year, and I'm going to share this quick thing about my life as well. I'm also in recovery.
Mhm.
I've been for almost 26 years.
Mhm.
And my daughters, we've always celebrated this together because it's another time that I reclaimed my life.
That's awesome.
And so there's a card that they had given me that I keep out all year round. And it says, success is not to be measured so much by the place one reaches in life, but
Mhm.
by the obstacles one overcomes. And
Mhm.
so if we can just get out of our own way and just
Right.
start looking at the opportunity, instead of looking what's missing, what
Yeah.
is here for me to be grateful for?
Mhm.
How can I move forward with what I do have?
Mhm.
What one step can I take that will impact my life a month from now,
Mhm.
6 months from now, a year
Mhm.
from now? If we will begin to start asking ourselves the empowering questions instead of those disempowering questions, not me, why not me? Why this? Why that? Uh, Start asking yourself those empowering questions and you will
Right.
begin to those answers will come just like
Mhm.
they come when we're asking those disempowering questions. Oh, this always happens to me. Why does this always happen?
Mhm.
Evidence of that is going to show up in your life.
Right. Yeah. So I'm interested to hear about, we have such a hard time in understanding how to do that, how to find that success for ourselves. And because especially if we don't have people modeling it in our life. And so how was it that you were able to make this new opportunity for yourself successful? Like, what do you think it was about how you approached it and maybe the frameworks that you applied, your dedication? What was it that made the difference?
Oh, it was a number of things. First of all, zoning out a lot of information that was coming at me.
Yeah.
I had to shut a lot of things out and a lot of things down. YouTube University, number one. Because I was learning a lot there, but I was
Yeah.
confused all the time and
Right.
I wasn't taking action. It
Mm.
was taking action that really started to make the difference and
Mhm.
staying consistent and putting
Mhm.
on the blinders and paying attention to what resonated with me instead of
Mhm.
chasing every shiny new object,
Yep.
focusing in on one thing that I knew
Mhm.
could work. And for me, that was connected investors. Ross doesn't know it, but he was one of my first mentors. Even though we
Mhm.
didn't speak,
Mhm.
he was only
Mhm.
on video. He was one of, and now we do speak. I actually spoke to him this morning. But he was one of my first mentors. I paid
Uh-huh.
attention
Mhm.
to his design for success.
Mhm.
I paid attention what he was telling me
Mhm.
in the videos and
Mhm.
following that
Mhm.
blueprint.
Mhm.
And I think following someone else's blueprint is great, but I also picked up my own tips and tricks. things that were working for me. I had a lot of different investors telling me, oh, you need this software, you need this gadget, you need this. And I was like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I can't take all that on right now. I have a full-time job, I have a family, and I just can't take all of that on. Angela, I was so motivated to do this work. I was writing my own postcards. People thought I was crazy. They thought I was funny. And but I was handwriting my own postcards to homeowners. And it started gaining traction. These beautiful colored postcards. And that's one of the things that I brought a unique added value of myself to the table. Instead of paying attention to what everybody else was doing, I paid attention to me and what resonated for me. And motivation will get you started, but it's consistency that will keep you going. You have to stay consistent. And I believe that is one of the number one keys to my success today is consistency.
Yeah. And I so agree with what you said. It is so hard. The proliferation of information is just, you could stay spinning all day, and it is very hard to tune it out. And like you said, not chase the next shiny object or the next strategy or the next thing that is out there. And people don't trust themselves enough to go or trust what they've invested in to give it a try or be consistent enough. Yeah, it is that's brilliant advice in my opinion, because I think it's so true. Yeah, I just love that. Go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt, but you just said something that is very key. Trusting themselves enough to know that what they just, if it's a system they just purchase or whatever it is, trusting themselves enough to know that you have this for a reason. Let's follow through with it instead of a little bit of work on this and then on to the next thing. No, follow it all the way through. And I promise you, new doors will begin to open up. That's what happened for me. I stayed with one system and doors, I mean, they just started slinging open, Angela, only because I was consistent. I stuck with what I trusted myself with. I knew they had a system that worked. All I had, I'm going to back up just a little bit. One of my fellow coaches, he talks about something called right think. And right think consists of, and I know I'm not saying everything verbatim, but it is finding the right vehicle that will create the wealth for you. Well, we know real estate creates more wealth than any other vehicle in the world. So I knew I had the right vehicle. Finding the right resources and sticking to it. I knew that I had the right resources with connected investors. And then thirdly is you becoming the right you. Staying consistent, following through, doing what you say you're going to do. So I just had to become the right investor, the right me.
No, it is, when somebody gets it, and it's true. I love how you talk about being the right vehicle, because people sometimes want to create great wealth and they're putting all of their passion and energy. That's something that's going to take them much longer because of the way they want to sell it or whatnot. And they're not really thinking about where they want the end. They're putting all of their energy in the front end. Like, this is what I'm really passionate about. And this $5 thing or $10 thing, and it's like, okay, let's think about putting less energy to something that's going to give you greater return in shorter amount of time. So I think that is very wise, like you said, to find the right vehicle that's going to get you what you want. And so I would love to hear about, like what type of real estate that you invest in, and how much time did you have to dedicate to it when you're when your job came back. So it sounds like it came back, huh?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it certainly did. Well, what I recognize, I'm going to just back up just a little bit. What I recognized in that time when I wasn't working was people needed something to do. People need something to do. They need something to love, and they need something to hope for. And real estate gave me all of that. At any rate, my job did come back. And I decided that I was going to maximize all of my time. If I had 5 minutes here, I was going to be writing postcards. If I had another 20 minutes here, I was going to be watching that training that I needed to learn how to do a sub 2 or a different type of strategy. So I was maximizing my time. I learned a long time ago, and I remember hearing my grandmother say it all the time. And I didn't exactly understand it then, but there's so many lessons that have come to the forefront of my mind since she's been gone. And that is, sweetie, well, she would say, baby, people do what they want to do. None of us have to find time. We're all granted 24 hours in a day. We have to make time for the things that are important to us. And so for me, my job coming back, it was important for me to make time for what I believed could change my life forever and the trajectory of everyone else behind me, my children, my grandchildren, possibly their children. And so making that time is still the most important thing. So yeah, I give up a 2-hour movie because how much is that movie or that TV really costing me when I'm not doing something that could possibly change my life? Did I answer the question, Angela?
Yeah, no, you did. Part of it, I asked a couple together. So I was curious, I hear so many people say, well, I don't have the time. So how long do you think that what's an average of how much time you dedicate to it to a week? Because people think, I don't have time.
In the beginning, I was dedicating anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day in the beginning. And then some weeks I was falling off of that because of, other obligations. But I was at least willing to do that for myself and my family. Because I knew, again, it had I had the opportunity to change everything for my family. And so I gave up those 2-hour movies, some of those outings that everybody wanted me to go on. I was willing to give those up because this was important to me. And so, and I knew that I had my job and, I couldn't do it all the time. I couldn't do it at work. And so I needed to find the time to make it happen. And so I believe if you want something, you will find a way to make it happen. And many of us have time where we're scrolling on our phones, and before you know it, it's an hour later, it's 2 hours later. Use that time for something that you're passionate about, that is going to change your life.
Yep. So was it that passion that helped you stay consistent, or was there anything else you kind of applied? Because I think people too can, start something and it'll fizzle out, or, their interest will wane. What kept you consistent?
Knowing that it could fizzle out, knowing that it could fizzle out, but don't stop. You have to keep going because the miracle is right around the corner. If you stop now, everything you've worked towards is out the window. And then you're right back at square one. So I was unwilling to do that to myself. I had done that many times in the past. I'd start something. I'm so motivated about it. And I see this all the time with other investors and other people in different industries. So excited about it. And when they don't see the results they think they should be getting right away, they're ready to give up. I wasn't willing to do that to myself anymore because ultimately, not only was I giving up on that thing, I was giving up on me. And I was unwilling to do that anymore. And I'm just not willing to do that to me anymore. And so I have become one of the most important people in my life. And so when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do everything in my power to make it happen.
Yeah. So you talked about you like shut out the noise. Did you have any people that were close to you, maybe friends, family, who maybe didn't support you in a way that you hoped they did? Because sometimes people run into that and don't know how to handle that.
You know, I didn't really have too many detractors,
Mm-hmm.
not so many supporters either. While my children supported me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, no one was on the real, you know, the sideline, like, yeah, go Dana, go, you know,
Mm-hmm.
nothing like that. You know, oh, that's great. You know, oh, great. I did have some friends as I was moving through real estate tell me, all you talk about is real estate now, Dana. That's all you talk about. I said, you guys don't understand. I'm like, oh, and so I recognize then
Mm-hmm.
I need people, I need a tribe that I can talk to
Mm-hmm.
about my challenges, about my wins, about my losses. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started building up a team of people who were like-minded, who were doing the same thing, who were after some of the same goals I was after.
Yeah, I think that's so important. It just because people, the people who got you to where you aren't always the people that are going to get you to where you want to go.
That's right.
And that's so hard. I mean, sometimes you kind of lose connections or they're not as deep, and that's just got to be okay.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Quite a few people I've started out on the journey with are, you know, it's our interactions
Mm-hmm.
are a lot scarce today
Mm-hmm.
because my mind is in a different place. I
Right.
move a lot differently than I once
Right.
was, and I am okay with that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not willing to continue to complain about things when I can make things happen. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not willing to settle any
Mm-hmm.
longer.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when I can make things happen, when I can
Mm-hmm.
change things for myself and my loved ones around me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have had to stop certain interactions with people because of the way that I think and I move today. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely okay with that. I
Right.
can love you from afar. I am not willing to adjust my boundaries any longer.
Mm-hmm.
I will adjust my life to your absence rather than adjust my boundaries to suit you.
I like that one. Let's remember that. So tell me about what type of real estate that you invest in and how you like coach people and help them, like who's real estate investing for, and you know, yeah, give me the
So
info.
so what it is I do is called
Mhm.
wholesaling and
Mhm.
micro flipping. At least that's what I started out as.
Mhm.
And it's simply put, that is finding a seller who's willing to sell their property at a discount, whether it
Mhm.
be because they're going through a divorce or
Mhm.
because there's a death or because they no longer can keep up with the financial aspect of it. They just need to get it out from under them,
Mhm.
behind in taxes, about to go into foreclosure, and are
Mhm.
willing to sell their property at a discount. And I put those properties under contract and I find another buyer to buy this contract ultimately.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's me connecting the dots. And really, what I'm doing is selling a contract. And
Mhm.
so I get it for this price and I sell it for this price, or
Mhm.
sometimes this price, or sometimes that
Mhm.
price. And so that is what's called micro flipping, and what, you know, micro flipping, wholesaling. And what you're doing is helping a part of the population who doesn't want to list with a realtor, who doesn't believe they can list their property with a realtor, doesn't want to deal with the fees, because we don't charge any fees for the seller. We're taking care of all of that work. And so that's what I do in a nutshell. And I
Mm.
teach my students the same methods of
Mhm.
wholesaling: finding a property, put it under contract, finding an end buyer, tying the two together, and
Mhm.
selling that contract.
Have you
Well, it's not called selling, it's a signing. You're
Mhm.
signing a
Gotcha.
contract over to an end buyer. And what that has done for some of the communities I've worked in has been especially nice to watch, because I have sold several of my properties to fix and flippers who have done amazing work in these communities and just added value back to these communities.
That was going to be my next question, is like, what has been the impact of doing that? Have people just been seeing you as like a godsend for like showing up to put their home under contract?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that, because I was just thinking of a particular seller right here in Charlotte, right in my own backyard. A woman was experiencing foreclosure, and she was also ill, and she was just ready to get out of the house.
Right.
She had no kitchen. The kitchen was gone because of a pipe that had leaked and just destroyed everything in the kitchen. At any rate, we were able to come in and help her get it under contract. And I found an end buyer who was able then to bring back value to this house and this community as a whole. And she sent a beautiful testimony to me, and for our business, letting everyone know what a godsend she felt we were at the time when she needed it most. And so I've had the absolute pleasure of helping people out of foreclosure. I've closed on several properties that were about to foreclose within days. And so that in and of itself is a reward, to be able to help someone out of a situation like that.
That's amazing to hear, because I think, there's got to be that kind of spiritual reward in what you do for it to have a longevity, and to keep you going, and
That's right.
having that impact on people. That's amazing. So do you teach somebody in your coaching, anybody in any state, or what qualifies somebody to be able to work with you?
So right now I coach off of the platform Connected Investors. And so anyone who's a member of Connected Investors can request a coach. They can request me or any other coach. And that's all it takes to qualify. You just saying, hey, I need a coach. You can also, I'm going to leave some information at the end if you want to talk to me about further coaching. I'd love to talk to anybody who's interested. I also wanted to back up just a little bit about the foreclosures, being able to help people in foreclosures. Because of that, we are now, gearing our business towards helping people in that situation. And I've also teamed up with Ross Hamilton in Saving Homes, and we're helping single mothers who are at risk for foreclosure.
That's so awesome. I was going to ask you if maybe the current financial conditions in the US have like changed the business or impacted the business.
For me, it hasn't. There's always opportunity in any market in real estate. And real estate for the past 200 years, no matter where the market goes, will always go back up, because people are always going to need somewhere to live. And so, yes, we see the highs and the lows, but what it is I do, I have not really felt the impact of it. I've been able to continue to help people and continue to grow our business as well.
That's wonderful to hear, and that there's opportunity at any time. I mean,
that's right.
I think people tend to think, oh no, there isn't, but I think in any business you can always find opportunity if that's what you're looking for.
That's right. I absolutely agree. And if you're going to be listening to the naysayers, that's exactly what you're going to start experiencing. And so there's a lot of things I don't listen to. There are a lot of people I don't, follow. because I know there's opportunities around every corner, and all I have to do is show up and make, excuse me, make myself available, and just keep saying yes to my life and the opportunities that are in front of me. Because what I believe is, if the opportunity presents itself to me, then I'm equipped to handle this opportunity, and it's for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you've been sprinkling it throughout the interview, how this has changed your life, but can you imagine not having taken this opportunity, and how has it changed your life?
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine today not having taken this opportunity. Gosh, it's changed my life tremendously in ways that I didn't even see coming. I didn't even see coaching coming, although I have always had a passion for mentoring and coaching, because that's what I do with my job. I mentor and I coach. So I was able to bring a lot of those transferable skills into what it is I do today. And we talk about the rewards. It's just so rewarding and has been so impactful, being able to help someone else to fulfill their own dreams, watching someone else close on their first few deals. That is priceless. It feels like it's my deal. Being able to help my family in such a way that I hadn't been able to do before. I'm able to give my grandsons horseback riding lessons, leasing horses for them, doing all kinds of things that I had never been able to do before, taking vacations like I've never taken before, all around the country, because I like visiting around the country. Next year is out of the country. I'm even thinking about some international investing. And so, I mean, it's just changed the way that I look at money, the way that I move with it. Just an amazing, amazing journey.
I was going to ask you that too. There's so many questions that have come through my mind. But I was going to ask you that too. I mean, we all, until you kind of understand what money really is, which is the energy that we attach to it. How has this changed your viewpoint on how you can earn money, and how, you don't have to wait for somebody to give you an opportunity anymore?
No, just learn the skills. Just get the skills necessary. See, because once you learn it, no one can ever take it away from you.
Right.
And you can just continue to cultivate it and grow it. One of my excerpts in Connected Investors on my page is, I felt like someone had taught me how to fish, and I'll never be hungry again. I will always know how to make money. And so, I've learned since making the type of money that I do, that it's, I found that I really don't spend a whole lot of money. And it seems like the more I make, not that I'm stingy or anything like that. However, I have learned that it is the little things that satisfy me, but having the money just gives us a sense of freedom to be able to do more of what we love to do. And that's what it's done for me, and being able to do more of what I love to do for my family and friends.
Was it easier than you thought it was? Did you used to think that earning money had to be hard, or you had to
No, it was a lot easier than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I really learned it. So in the beginning stages, it all seems so hard because you don't know what you don't know. So it all seems so hard. But once you learn it, it's like, wow, this is really, really simple. It really is. Not always easy, but it's simple. And once I learned that and just kind of moved out of my own way, I mean, it just, like I said earlier, the doors just continue to open. Now I get phone calls. I don't have to search so much. It's starting to just come to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just flows
Mm-hmm.
to me. And I believe that's, you talked about energy, because I've opened myself up to that energy and
Mm-hmm.
the belief, the mindset that it is easy. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. I live
Mm-hmm.
in a very friendly universe that is truly conspiring for my good. And I know you guys have heard that before. And if you haven't,
Mm-hmm.
it's from oh gosh, I have it on the tip. It's from a book, and I can't even think of it right now. The Alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
haven't read that book, read The
Mm-hmm.
Alchemist. It's a short read, but a very impactful one.
Yeah, it is. It's just like, why didn't anybody tell me this? Or why it's like it was hiding in plain sight. You
Yeah,
know?
that's exactly it. Hiding in plain sight. And another thing, Angela, we're raised by these well-meaning adults and teachers and parents. We have all these people instilling certain beliefs, and it's
Mm-hmm.
taken a long time to instill those beliefs in us. It's going to take a while for you to unlearn some of this stuff and learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
So give yourself the time
Mm-hmm.
it takes to learn something new,
Mm-hmm.
to be open enough to say, maybe this can be a little, a bit more simpler than I thought if I give myself a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's if something has taken decades and decades to learn, you can't expect it to change overnight. You really
Thank
can't.
you.
Yeah,
That's right.
you have to give yourself grace for sure. So what I'm curious. I love thinking about the legacy that women like yourself are leaving. And it's not just about us. We're standing on the shoulders of our ancestors and our own, obstacles that we've overcome. And I think we are giving those, that they weren't in vain, that they meant something. We went through
That's
them
right.
for a reason. So, what legacy do you want to leave? Where do you see yourself headed with your endeavors?
Well, we're moving towards more, like I said earlier, helping those who are facing foreclosure
Right.
and compassion in every transaction. We
Mhm.
want people to know that not only does their lives matter, but it matters to us. And
Mhm.
we want to be able to help in any way that we can. And that's a part of the legacy I want to leave behind.
Mhm.
Because I know firsthand what it feels like to be in foreclosure with 3 children. I faced that in 2008. I lost a home. Um, Very grateful I have 3 now,
Mhm.
and continuing to grow that. However, I was there, and I want to impact the lives of others.
Mhm.
I want my business to be known as, like I said earlier, compassion in every transaction.
I love that. I could talk to you forever. It sounds like what so much goodness. And it's just
Thank
all you
you.
have to marry the spiritual with the tactical. And it's just like business has this yin and yang.
That's right.
And I
And
think as women, we're asked so often to kind of put down our intuition to fit in this male dominated business world. And so I love to shine light on when we can strengthen those skills that are innate to us as
mhm.
caretakers, as mothers, as so what is one thing stuck with a listener today listening to this conversation? What would you want that to be?
I'd want that to be the one thing is the greatest commodity you have that you bring to the table is you. Any industry you're in, any field you're in, the greatest thing you bring to the table is you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't be a first-rate Eudania, excuse me, a second-rate Eudania, but you can be a first-rate whoever you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the added value you bring to the
Mm-hmm.
table. And whatever skill set, and you can continue to grow on that.
Mm-hmm.
And trust, you spoke about it just a moment ago, that intuition,
Mm-hmm.
especially as a woman. We have
Right.
it for a reason. Trust it, grow it,
Mm-hmm.
and allow it to shine through.
Mm-hmm.
And so the greatest thing you bring to the table is you in
Yeah.
any industry. And I learned that early on, working in real estate. I wasn't doing things like everybody else. but
Mm-hmm.
people seem to connect with me in a way that they didn't connect with others.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say that each one of us is specifically designed to connect and work with certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And so out of 8 billion plus people, some of your people out there.
Yes, yes. I mean, I hear it all the time. I can't do this because everybody else is doing it. You could have said I can't sell real estate or do the micro flipping because everybody else is doing it.
I could
I mean,
have.
we will talk ourselves out of anything, I tell you.
It's the truth. It is so true. And yeah. And I'm just, I'm not there anymore. And every now and again I have that fear crop
Sure.
up.
Yeah, sure.
I now speak at events and
Mm-hmm.
it crops up and oh, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I could do this. What if I mess up? Well, what if you
Mm-hmm.
don't? And what if you do? Who
Right.
cares? What if you go all the way through and somebody comes to, I've often had people where I felt like I kind of fumbled and come up to me, thank you for your authenticity. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you for having such a compassionate heart.
Mm-hmm.
Just me showing up as me is enough. Enough. So same thing to you and all the listeners. Just you being who you are is enough. That's the added value we need in the world.
It is. And you shed light on another important thing. I tell people, like, it is so important that when messages like that mean something to you, make sure you share it with somebody when they're doing amazing things. So you are doing amazing things. Thank you for sharing your story. It's been a pleasure connecting with you and spending time with you. I appreciate it so much. And I'm applauding you. I'm just like...
Thank you, Angela.
It's amazing. It's amazing to see people doing what's possible.
That's right. And if it's possible for one, then it's possible for all.
Right. And that's, I show up and I'm just a magnifier for people who are doing great things. So whoever needs to hear it and see it to inspire them, I hope it does. You gave a lot of people permission today.
Yes, we're giving you all permission. And Angela, thank you for having this platform to be able to share this information. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if I have a lot of control over it because I tell the story of I didn't learn to podcast for this podcast. It came to me. And I feel like I would just be sat in this chair and the computer would turn on and it would all happen whether I did it or not. It's the weirdest thing, but the intuition, I knew I had to do it.
I love it.
It's I said, okay, you can use me. All right, let's do it.
Yes.
So the great connection.
And that's it.
Yeah. And that's all you have to do.
Just showing up for our lives, saying yes.
Right.
Saying yes.
Yep. I compared myself to everybody else. It was very hard. I had to find my own voice and connect with people in a way that most others don't.
That's right.
Lots of podcasts are very transactional, and that's not me. I look to connect with my guests, and also that connection, I think, impacts listeners. So awesome.
Thank you. I agree. Yeah. I agree.
All right. It's been beautiful talking to you. Thank you so much, Eudania.
You are so welcome. Thank you, Angela, for having me. I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you. Wow. Isn't Eudania amazing? Thanks so much for tuning in to the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast this week. I don't know about you, but I am feeling inspired to tackle my to-do list with a newfound sense of determination and purpose. Remember, Mama, you're doing an incredible job even on those days when it feels like chaos is winning. Embrace the imperfection, celebrate the wins, big or small, and know that you're not alone on this wild ride of mom entrepreneurship. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another inspiring story. And also reach out to Eudania and myself and let us know if this episode inspired you. And hey, if you're feeling extra generous, leave us a review. It truly makes our day. Until next time, keep hustling, keep loving, and keep being your amazing and perfect self. You've got this. I can't wait to talk to you on the next episode of the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast. Bye.